Hello, my friends. It's starting to get into cozy season. It's starting to get into that inward reflection, going inward time. And this is something that I wanted to do for a really long time. I wanted to record episodes that were just me for a few different reasons. And in honesty, some of it is just to have something to share. So, content. If I'm not able to chat with someone or there's a break or something like that. And I think that's just the truth. That's just the truth of the way that it is when you want to do these things. You want to make sure that you know that something else is coming next and that you can keep the momentum going even when you can't talk to people. And I think this will be supportive either, yes, to bridge the gap between episodes or so that I can share more. And I've had a lot of ideas in my mind. I've written them down. I've had them for many years. I've had them just kind of sitting there, knowing that I want to share them. And sometimes I'll share them on social media, but I always thought that maybe they needed episodes and I could just talk and I could I could just come on the podcast on my own and just talk. And so, yeah, that I guess would be the second reason was that I have these things I want to share. Some of them are just personal discovery of moving through life, and some of them are teachings, things I've noticed, observed, and some of it is rooted in empowerment for for you, for others. That's something that I've stepped into quite a lot in the last little while. And I think it's something I always had, but lost along the way in certain situations or tried to grasp on when I maybe shouldn't have. I don't know. But I do feel very strongly focused on my own personal understanding, my own personal power, and the power that you have in so many ways, this like plethora of ways, how you show up in the world, what you can do, what you're capable of, and just discovering that for yourself and knowing that you're in this place of choice. And I think why I wanted to do these episodes is because as I start to just talk and say these things, it makes me want to always have this, it reminds me that I have this space, or it allows me this space that I can elaborate on all of what I say quickly on social media. I can elaborate on when I say that you're in a place of choice. I now have the time to share with you that not everyone has a place of choice. And I'm not in the business of, or in the place of like bullshit. Like, I'm not interested in bullshit. I don't want to be sold something that I don't need. I don't want to be lied to. I don't want to be like being positive when life is not feeling that way. I don't want to bypass anything that comes my way, anything that comes your way, and I don't want to bypass that for you. And I like when you get to be rooted in your truth of situations, processing whatever it is, the traumas you face, the mechanisms you use to cope, the truth, like just the truth. And I don't want anyone to, yeah, I don't want anyone to feel that they have to be positive all the time. And I also want to elaborate on this place of choice because as I'm speaking to this right now, there are millions of injustices. And it's something that I talked about in a post once. Just how, for me, I feel that there is actually a perfect balance in our world on this globe of good to bad. I feel that there actually is a really good balance of that. And somebody asked me what I would change about the world, and one time, I said to them that I wouldn't change anything, and this was in a time, and still happening, of course, where things were really heightened with Palestine. It was only like a few months in, so it was like really, I mean, we're still aware, it's still there, but this is, you know what I'm talking about. And I realized that I couldn't say that. I realized that I couldn't say that I wouldn't change anything because there's this perfect balance of good to bad. And I feel that there's this perfect balance of good to bad because there, like, everything can exist at the same time. There's duality, but there's also neutrality. There is no duality. So the mind naturally always just goes to these negative things. It always focuses on all of the negative things that you face, all the things going wrong, all the ways you want to fix stuff, all the problems you're seeing, all the problems you see in someone else, like all the ways that you can complain about the day. And it takes a lot of actual work to find the positive. And so I said that, but then I realized, I couldn't say that because there were, people, and still people getting killed. And so this gives me the space to elaborate on this place of choice, because not everyone, of course, as we know, if you're conscious enough to know or to see and to pay attention, which all of you are, you are also intelligent, that not everybody has that choice. Not everybody has that choice. And so we come to that, and we just see how that lands, and in all that conversation, I thought to myself that it was on those who are in a place of privilege, or who are privileged enough to view the world as beautiful or good, perfect, whatever it is. If you have that privilege to wake up and think, fuck yeah, like I get to do this and I get to do that, and I'm looking forward to this, and you can travel freely, and you don't face daily discrimination, and you have everything accessible at your fingertips. It's on whoever is able to view the world as good and well, to support those who cannot or will not or can't, whatever it is. It is on anyone who has their life taken care of in a way, who knows that they have a place to sleep, who knows that they can eat today, who has income, but not just money, but who has like joy, who has happiness, who has something to give, who has something to share, who can support someone. Sometimes I see people who are asking for help, or some of those who are unhoused. And I smile at them, I nod at them, I say hello, how are you doing? You check in with people that just maybe even just need that interaction. I didn't have to really give. I didn't have to buy them anything. I just had to ask. And even smile, or say like, have a good day, or have this interaction. And it's not enough, but it's something, So that whole conversation led me to that, those who are privileged. It's their responsibility to support those who can't see the world as beautiful and perfect all the time, or at all, or ever have. And so I'm allowed to elaborate here. Well, I'm allowed to do whatever I want, which is really nice. But I'm able to elaborate here, and I like that. And so this episode, what I wanted to talk about was grief, and I will. and I will, but that's just my long-winded way of getting into it. And I feel actually quite happy to do this because there's so much more. Instagram limits me. I can't I can't type more than I think like 2400 characters, which seems like a lot, but let me tell you, it isn't that much. So I'm grateful that I have this to be able to share and go deeper into what I mean by things, because a lot of times I'm removing stuff from Instagram, and it's missing some key points because I just can't fit it all into this one space. So here I am. But yeah, grief. I've worked through grief. It's been a year and a month roughly since my brother passed away, and that's something very new to me. That's something I have not witnessed, I've not faced, I've not seen, I haven't lived through. And it's a whole story. It's a whole story of what that person's life, my brother, and his name is Trevor, what his life was, and how we got to where we are. And I'll tell some of the story, of course, but I'm working through this grief of losing this person that, of course, has been there my whole life, and is like a sibling. Like, this is someone that you are fully related to. And I find, like, in my conversations of grief with people, people talk about waves, which is completely true. It's quite interesting. There is waves of grief. It just comes and goes when you you don't even expect it. You don't even know like that's going to happen that day or that moment or whatever it is. And I'm working through the grief of losing someone in the way that he passed. But also, this work didn't actually show itself to me for a while. I wasn't able to even understand or connect with the fact that what it means when someone passes. It takes me a long time to understand actually the gravity of a lot of situations. Things will happen, and it usually takes me a year, sometimes up to 3-5 years, to understand the weight of something and how much what it actually means and how big of a deal this is. And now is when I'm really starting to understand what that means. And so the story of my brother is beautiful and complex. I've told quite a lot of it on Instagram, and I'm not going to tell it all. But my brother was, to me at least, majority of the time, supportive and helpful, kind, could be harming, could be damaging, but overall, I think I got more of the better parts of it, because I don't think he would want to harm or hurt me. But through his life, and in the last 10 years or so of his life, or maybe more, he was an addict. And now I don't even say addict in the way that we say addict, and some people when they hear addict, they're drugs. There's like drugs, and like, this person needs to change, and this is wrong, and they're they have problems, or why can't they just stop, or whatever it is. When I say addict, and anyone who seeks substances and wants to find something in substances, to me, it's only someone who is hurt, traumatized, looking past, wanting to forget, suppressing. It's someone who can't manage or find something on their own. And they're masking or working through something. There's typically an avoidance, or there's a pain. There's a pain that needs to be numbed. And so for me, I always look at the substance that the person is using, because I was speaking to my counselor this morning, and I started with her. She does EMDR therapy, and I was talking to her about my brother, and I was saying to her that, it's really sad and upsetting to me that Trevor had to pass away alone and seeking, he had done cocaine, and it was, so strong, I guess, from the corner that this ultimately killed him. And that he was seeking this upper. He was seeking this thing that we know cocaine is meant to help you to feel good, and to, it can make people feel very powerful. It can make people feel on top of the world. And so to me, what breaks my heart in grief is that then Trevor would have not felt those things on his own. He had to find that to use that. He had to use that substance to find that. And that's hard to work with. It's hard to process when you lose someone in this way that, it's not end of life, lived a full life, peaceful, time to go, ready to leave the body and go on to the next thing, and the soul goes elsewhere. All of the spiritual things, which I don't even know if I'll talk about that much, because I believe in those things to be, I believe them to be true, but your real world, almost human experience it's not always that, because nothing is technically guaranteed, And so I don't even know where I was. This was going to happen. This is what's going to happen. I think this is just the way it's going to go. I'll start somewhere else. But, I remember. Yes, it's not end of life. It's not what you would call like a normal or natural death. And it's heartbreaking, And so I'm working with the grief of, and I think that I want to share this because I think that many of you will discover this as life goes on. You may have already found this for yourself, and I don't want to hold anything. I don't want to hold anything for anybody. It's not something I feel that I can do anymore, want to do. I actually feel very shielded lately. There is a great sense of protection I have for myself, because I don't want to let anything in that's going to disturb my peace. I'm not going to do it again. There's just no way. And so I keep my peace, but keeping my peace means not absorbing, taking on, and holding anything for anyone else. But what I discover is the pain and the holding and the grasping and the processing of my parents. And that's a whole other thing to witness outside of my own grief. And here my parents are working with probably similar understandings to me in the fact of this death specifically being this long-winded story of just upset, tragic, heartbreaking loss of a child. Like, it's very similar. And I know that they won't view things the way that I fully view things. And I think a lot of you will understand and know that because most of you are living in the same or from the same generation roughly as I am. And our parents just don't seem to get it as much. You know, they don't get it as much. So they have a different understanding, which is fine. It's just the way it is. But watching them work through that and process that has been complex, and it's been very sad. And I find that I can't, not only can I not hold it for them, but I really don't want to. And I wonder what they feel like as parents. You know, what goes through like a parent's mind when they lose a child in such a way that, you know, this individual, my brother, is like hurting so much from his life that he's seeking substance. And to lose someone in that way, you know, what is that like? And what do you do with that? And does it calm? Does it go away? How is it held through life? And I guess you just ride the wave. Like you just take it as it comes. And I guess that's all you can really do. And so it's been curious to watch them. It's been curious to just see how that goes. And it's really interesting to observe it in myself. It's so painful. It's so finite. It's so painful. And different reasons come up all the time on why it's painful. There's different things that present themselves to you that make you think, oh fuck, like there's that, and oh no, this, and even though your relationship with this person is a little bit damaged because of the years of drug use and all of the upset that happened with that, you still remember the nice moments of this person. And it's sad, you know, because you don't have a brother anymore. And like you start to think, like I think to myself, I feel that I will be alone at some point of my life because you don't have this person that was meant to be by your side for a long time. And your parents will go, and then you'll just be you. Just on your own. And I don't know if that's scary. I don't think it's scary. Maybe. But it's something new to work with. It's just a different thing to start to apply to your own understanding of your life. And I really don't know what to do with it all. You know, I don't know what to do with it all. I saw something the other day on Instagram. It was like, it was a reel, and it was talking about grief and loss. And this man was saying in it, he said, you know, I tried to drink it away. I tried to run it away. I tried to work out, to make it go away. I tried to do this, do this to make it go away. And he said, and all it did was just wait for me to be done with those things. It just waited there at the door. The grief. And I see that in myself a lot, because when I feel like sad or hurt, or there's been something unfortunate that happened in my life, I really apply myself to my work, and I just become so focused on that I just, like, I noticed that every time I slowed down in the past year, if I practiced yoga and I went to something like yin, let's say, or even vinyasa, but I was in shavasana, I would cry every time without fail, because it was a moment to actually it's like my own drug is like the work. This is like my substance abuse is work, because it allows me to drown out all the stuff. I'm not facing my stuff. That's my drug of choice, I guess. And so I don't know what to do with it all. And I don't know if any of us actually do. But isn't it so interesting that the guarantees of life are birth and death? And one of them is like so amazing, and one of them is just awful for most, right? For most. It's awful. Anyone who maybe isn't fully at the end of the spiritual journey, at the point where death is all right, because it's all good. But, most of us are not there. It's just been an interesting journey. It gives me motivation a lot of the time. When he first passed away, I thought, I need to go see the world right away, because now he can't, and I wanted to take him and go and see so much. And not only take him, like, I just also was so reminded of mortality. And I don't want to live with fear and I want to have no regrets, no regrets. I don't want to be on my deathbed or whatever it is and sit there and think, oh, I didn't do that, whatever it is. Like, I listened to my parents too much, or not for me, but I see this a lot in people. I listened to my parents too much, or they didn't want me to do that, or I'm carrying their fears, or carrying your own fears, and you didn't just venture out and try something that freaks you out and find that it's amazing and incredible. And so I want to see the world. I want to see the world for myself, for my brother, for everything. And so many of you know, like, obviously that's part of my plan, right? Like, that's part of what is next up for me. But that was my first thing when he passed, was, okay, I need to take him to these places. Some of my processing and practices have been a few things. And maybe this will be of use to you. I don't know. I know a lot of you will know some of the things. Sometimes I work with, timing, just what it is, life being what it is supposed to be. We all know, there's the timing for all things, and that it will be what it will be, and it's written, and this is just the way of life. Some of the things I do now, which was not my main focus or like motivator, I guess. When I went, I started with this new counselor, and she works with a few things that I wanted support with, but also she does this EMDR, which I really wanted to do. And my motivation was really mending my relationship problems. I wanted to work on those issues that I was reminded of that I have. And so that's why I went to her. But I also knew that I'm working with my mom being quite sick the past year. And I knew that I was working with the death of my brother. And I knew that I was working with being around my father again. And I knew that I was working with, you know, all of the shit from last year. And so I go to her and I talk to her and we do this EMDR therapy and sessions. And that's something that I just started, but I think will be supportive. I think it's actually seems to be quite a good practice and thing to do for trauma and working through and processing. She was teaching me about the left brain and right brain, and how, you know, most of your stuff kind of, it doesn't really get processed by the left brain. So any traumatic stuff just sits in that right brain space where you're either feeling it or you're not, and it never really makes it to the logical side of your brain. And EMDR allows that. And so you can actually process and move past traumas and situations, stories, you know, shit that you're carrying, because you're carrying it. She said today that, you know, all of the stuff is like somebody's like adding rocks to your backpack, and every time something, it's like another rock, and, you know, you think you're all right, but you really haven't processed and actually worked through any of that stuff. So when you do, you know, bit by bit, then it's like taking a rock out of your backpack. So I've been working with that, and I feel very happy about that. I feel like in good hands, and yeah, I feel happy that I'm wanting to grow and mend some areas of myself. I have been dancing quite a lot. I always like to dance, but I've really been working with, I've just been, ever since the summer, honestly, I got completely reminded about the fact that I knew that I always liked dancing, but I didn't dance for like a year and a few months, and that was not good. And so I started dancing again just around my home. And when I went to Earth Daughters in June, I danced a lot, and I was really reminded of that. Again, I never lost it. I just started when I was dancing, and I was like, oh man, this is so good. This is so good. And so I danced a lot. That was amazing. It was just that was so special that time. And I continued to dance around my home, and then I've attended some things where I'm able to dance, like specific to dance things. So I move the body. And the dance is great. Like, the dance is amazing because there is not only like freedom, but there's like fluidity. There's no right or wrong. There's no nothing. You get to move and feel and work through and process. You get to like discover all of these beautiful like expressions and shapes that you're able to make and take. It's so amazing. And there's such happiness that comes from this. You all know that. There's endorphins that come from this. And what is really more joyful, right? Like, what's more joyful than listening to like music that you like, works for you, you vibe with it, it's you know, it's on brand, you know, and getting to move around and like jump and slide and spin. Like, you wear your socks around your house, you do some spins, like, just so good, you know. And also moving the body. And something else I want to talk about in a different episode, I want to talk about some yoga related things, because I'm starting to work with yoga differently, because yoga, very much so, as we know, is very asana based. Poses are the focus for most of the world for some reason, or whatever it is. It's all good, but you know, it's very very popular to think about the poses. And I wanted to share a conversation about just moving the body in yoga and not allowing it to be so serious, not allowing it to be, and even outside of yoga, just the idea of moving the body wants to be moved. And so keeping these motions, these expressions, these ideas, like in yoga, you can take 2,400, I believe, roughly asanas. So you can take 2,400 different shapes just in yoga. So what shapes can you take in dance? What shapes can you take in Tai Chi? What shapes can you take in like walking, bending, running, like lifting? Like what are all of the shapes that the body can do? It's really it feels quite endless. And so I really want to rewrite things for people about coming to yoga for fitness and all that stuff. I want people just to come to practice because of the breath and the purity of the practice and staying rooted in practice, but also to move the body and know that you're there to move the body, not to, have a strong core, even though that's good, but you know what I mean. So anyway, so yes, back to my practices. The dancing. And so the dancing, see the dancing gets me going. But the dancing has been supportive, and I'm able to, and it took me a little while. It took me a little while. I'm better at it alone, I think, maybe, but I really love all of the expressions. It depends on the song, it depends on the mood, all those things, But I do really love, and I have been working with or just starting to and discovering more stomping in dance and taking like wide stances and almost becoming very primal. Like they are rituals to me in this space because they are intended for the processing of something, the moving of the energy, moving of the chi, all of these things. And so stomping and letting things out of the feet, out of the hips, out of the legs, out of the body, and releasing that there. And I don't know if that's specific to the grief or anything. It could also just be specific to the fact that I'm really just working on my power and my peace in my power, and really finding powerful movements. But that's been nice. Sometimes I practice screaming. I don't do it too much. I would really like to do it in nature more often, but I always feel that I'm going to spook someone and make them think that I'm in danger. And I went to do it the other day, and there were some ladies there, and they were really nice. And I was like, I'm not going to scream here because I just think that they're going to think that I'm dying or something like that, So I scream in the car, and that's a good one. I do like that because there's a lot of holding of anger and grief and rage and upset with situations, upset with yourself, upset with the loss of someone that you love or care about or knew your whole life, like just that deep like ripping out of that space in your heart. I remember even there was a time where I had to tell my mom that my brother had passed away, and this was not even the time that he actually passed away. And it was over the phone, she wasn't here, and she screamed, like the heart had been ripped out. And I never heard anything like that, and so the screaming is there. It's so powerful, but a good practice, right? A good practice, especially with intention. It's the same as hitting or something like that, right? Like punching something or releasing that energy that the body is holding, keeping everything, like I said, flowing. Intentional releases. And the body's meant to be moved in that way too. it doesn't feel like the best thing all the time, but the body's meant to still hit. And if it can, it has a place, right? So that may be all of the things that I've done or I'm doing. I have to have a little small think here, but I think that that's probably all of those things that I've done for grief. And I guess just accepting it, maybe like I'm not at that place yet because it's very strange. Um, I can't say I like it very much, but I guess, yeah, working on acceptance. And I guess just seeing, yeah, where the road takes you. But yeah, if I think of anything else, I'll put it like in the bio or something like that, or in the Instagram post. But I don't have anything else. I don't think about things that I'm specifically doing other than normal, walking, running, swimming, like whatever, right? Like I said running, but I've been once. Okay, so let's running once. But yeah, other than doing things that get you into nature and getting quality breaths, breathing deep. And I think it's supportive that I get to do a lot of what I want to do. I think that is huge. I think that's huge for me. I think it'd probably be huge for all of you. Against coming back to that place of choice. I think my life is 3,000,000 times better because I'm able to make choice and I'm able to create what I feel and I'm able to work with those that I want to and I'm able to even say no to those I don't want to work with. I don't have to do that anymore. Like I don't have to be in this place of working for other people or whatever and have to suffer in that way. I think that helps so much because we know the workspace, you spend so much time there, and if that's affecting your mental health, I mean, everything else is in this. Nothing has the space to heal when the foundation is cracking, So, yeah, maybe that's all for my ways of working through things. And it could be all for now. This share, I will just see how this goes. I don't know. I really like it. I like this. This is very nice. I think it's going to stay very casual and not very serious. I don't think it'll be very serious, which is fine. But if you're listening, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And because I don't have a guest, you are my guest. My guest that I don't even know who is listening, but my guest. I would love to hear from you on these episodes, especially because they're just me kind of riffing and just going with whatever. So I would love to open all of these up to conversation. And everything is always open to conversation. I'm always here. I'm always available to talk about whatever. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here. And yeah, we'll just see you, I guess, or you'll hear me. You'll hear me on the next one. But yeah, I hope you have a beautiful evening, day, morning, whatever it is, and we'll chat soon.